Tom Hanks is often described as the beating heart of Hollywood, the rare star who managed to remain both human and heroic in an industry that devours its own. For more than 4 decades, he's given us characters that live in memory forever: the gentle innocence of Forrest Gump, the desperate resilience of a man stranded in Castaway, the moral courage of a lawyer in Philadelphia. Through every role, Hanks has radiated warmth and authenticity in a world built on illusion. But behind that glow lies a far more complicated truth. Tom Hanks, now 68, has endured battles that fame could never protect him from. His life is marked by scars that no award can erase, memories that resurface when the lights go out, and illnesses that strike without mercy. What he faces today may well be the most defining chapter of his entire journey, a test of strength not as an actor but as a man. Born on July 9, 1956, in Concord, California, Tom Hanks entered a world already marked by instability. His father, Amos, worked as a traveling cook, and his mother, Janet, struggled to hold the family together. Money was tight, security even tighter. When his parents divorced in 1960, Tom was just 4 years old. It wasn't an explosive separation but a quiet unraveling that left behind an emptiness no child should know. The family split apart. Tom and 2 siblings went with their father, while his youngest brother remained with their mother. That fracture defined his early years. By the time he was 10, he had lived in 10 different houses, temporary rentals, peeling walls, the faint smell of someone else's life clinging to every room. Meals were meager, beds were borrowed, and the feeling of permanence never arrived. Every move meant another school, another lunch eaten alone, another reminder that he didn't quite belong. He wore clothes until they frayed, kept his head down, and learned not to expect too much. Later in life, he would call himself a geek, an outsider. But those words hit a deeper ache, a boy who had learned that love was never guaranteed. His only true refuge came on the stage of school auditoriums, where he could step into another life, if only for a moment. The applause of strangers was oxygen, a fleeting assurance that he was worth something, even if the lights went dark again. Looking back, Hanks has described his childhood in one devastating word: lonely. Yet it was in that loneliness that he made a silent vow: if he ever found his voice, he would use it to make others feel less invisible. That vow became the foundation of his art and the essence of the man he would become. But adulthood did not bring the rescue he longed for. 21, he boarded a bus to New York with little more than a typewriter, a battered suitcase, and the fragile hope that dreams might keep him alive. He had dropped out of Sacramento State University and arrived in a city that seemed glamorous on postcards but was merciless in reality. Rent was high, rooms were small, nights were freezing. He shared space with strangers, sometimes sleeping on the floor. Most days, auditions ended with rejection. Casting directors saw not a leading man, but a skinny kid with awkward kindness in a business that rewarded sharp edges. "I learned early that the room didn't need me," he would later confess. That truth cut deep. But instead of breaking, he kept going. Bit parts in off-Broadway plays, a role in the low-budget horror film He Knows You're Alone, stagehand jobs where he built sets and swept floors. Nothing was beneath him. Each small opportunity was survival, not success. By 1980, he got his first real break with the sitcom Bosom Buddies. It was absurd, 2 men dressing as women just to rent an apartment. The show was short-lived, but for Hanks it cracked open a door he had been pounding on for years. Still, every job ended with the same fear, that the dream might vanish and he would be invisible again. Backhand index pointing right, and here's where I'd like to ask you something. Do you think Tom Hanks' kindness, the very quality that once seemed like a weakness in Hollywood, is actually what made him a legend? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious to know what you think. As the years passed, the skinny outsider transformed into a powerhouse. From light-hearted comedies like Big to the searing drama of Philadelphia, Hanks proved he could embody both innocence and gravitas. Forrest Gump made him a global icon, while Saving Private Ryan showed the world his depth. But every performance came with a price. For Philadelphia, he lost nearly 35 pounds to capture the reality of AIDS. In Castaway, production shut down for months so he could transform his body into that of a starving man, a role that left him haunted by real loneliness. Audiences saw triumphs. Tom lived the toll. He once described fame as standing in a beautiful room with a door that was softly locked. Success comforted, but it also confined. Behind the applause were nights when he wondered who he was away from the screen. And in his personal life, shadows lingered. Just 21, desperate to avoid the broken home cycle he knew too well, Hanks married actress Samantha Lewis. They soon had children, Colin and Elizabeth. But he later admitted he mistook fear for readiness and loneliness for love. As work pulled him away, cracks widened, and by 1987 the marriage ended in divorce. The failure devastated him. The very thing he swore never to repeat, a fractured home, had become his children's reality. He carried that guilt quietly, even as his career soared. He still cared for Samantha, supporting her when she later battled bone cancer, sitting by her bedside with sorrow he could never undo. Then, in 1988, Hanks married actress Rita Wilson, a union that became his anchor. Their love was not rushed but grew steadily, rooted in patience and deep respect. They raised children, built a family, and to the public seemed like Hollywood's rare example of a marriage that worked. But even this bond would be tested. In 2015, Rita was diagnosed with breast cancer. She underwent a double mastectomy and reconstructive surgery, facing a recovery that tested every ounce of strength. For Hanks, it was one of the few times in life he could not protect the woman he loved. He stood by her side through every appointment, every moment of pain, holding her hand as the world watched in silence. This was not the man on screen, not the Hollywood icon. This was simply Tom, a husband terrified of losing the person who had become his lifeline. Through it all, he proved that his greatest role has never been in front of a camera, but in the quiet devotion to those he loves. Today, Tom Hanks remains both a legend and a survivor. His films remind us of courage, kindness, and resilience, but his life reveals the cost of carrying those truths for real. He has faced rejection, poverty, heartbreak, illness, and the relentless pressure of fame. And yet, he has never surrendered his vow to make people feel less alone. When the credits finally roll on his story, Tom Hanks will not just be remembered as one of the greatest actors of all time. He will be remembered as the man who turned loneliness into empathy, failure into kindness, and pain into performances that gave the world hope.